Okay, let's try this again. Okay. Oh, and also on the Discord. So yeah, do. Oh, hey CT, how's it going? I hope you're having a good day. So yeah, I'm going to be talking about some Masters of the Universe. Spoilers, it was crap. Happy Thanksgiving. I'm going to wait for hopefully a few more people to show up. This character I'm playing right now is intended as almost completely dexterity based. Do. Now I need to re-equip. There we go. Do. So yeah, if more people don't start showing up soon, I'll just start rambling. Which, by the way, I actually do intend to make a actual script, a few actual scripted videos on this. So this isn't intended to be my only thing to say about it. Hey Moon, how's it going? Haven't actually started talking about it yet, so you haven't missed anything. Figured that I'd wait to see if a few people would show up before I actually started rambling. Ah, cool. Happy Thanksgiving.
Praise the merciful gods above. Oh, I get you're tired, but it...
And yes, of course, I'll accept her in my service.
I shall take my vows. I...
Boop.
You hope.
Oh no, it's not that you didn't make it to the first one. The first one just decided to self-destruct about a minute into it. You didn't miss anything. God, I was really pissed. I was just in the process of sending the link out, and I look up, and it tells me that disconnected. And I was like, what? So yeah, you missed absolutely nothing. Just literally me saying that, one sec while I go and send the link out. Do-do-do. Okay. Well, I guess I'll start talking a little bit about it. Oh yeah, forgot about him. Huh, that's nice. So, let's see here. Where to start? Well, I suppose starting at the beginning is always a tactic. So, the very first thing that I noticed when part 2 started was oh yeah, yes, actually, that's one of the quips I was going to make. Calling this Masters of the Universe revelation is actually quite apt. It's a revelation about how much therapy Kevin Smith actually needs. That man has mommy issues, daddy issues, and abandonment issues, along with possibly other things. So, yeah. Oh, go right ahead. Don't let me stop you. Now, let's go level up.
Well, very well then taken.
Do 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 do. So yeah, one thing to say for anyone who is someone not paying any attention to what I've had to say about this is not going to be a stream talking about how good this is. It's not a hater stream, but it's definitely not me saying how great this is. Okay. Well, so at the beginning of part 2, one thing that hit me was that hit me originally. It was that it played the same opening that it did for part 1, where it laid out the universe saying about how only 4 people know know He-Man's secret, and I was like, no. At this point, a lot of people know He-Man's secret. And it talks about how the forces of Eternia are there to protect Grayskull, when Grayskull was actually demolished at the beginning of the first in the very first episode. And I was like, no. So that right off the bat was like, what the hell are they doing? So then it goes from there to having us looking at apparently the sorceress before she became the sorceress, and then she and Duncan were there talking about their child, Tila, which, unless I'm mistaken, that kind of implies that Tila is actually Duncan's biological daughter, because it's showing her as an actual baby with Duncan and the sorceress is right there, which is a problem to me, because one of the things that I always thought was really nice, and I know somebody else who only recently saw He-Man thought was really nice, was the found family aspect. Now, that's bad enough, but as I was rewatching part 1 today, I noticed Roboto actually talking about, let's see here, I actually took some notes. So I'm going to pull up my Evernote. Yeah, let's see the exact line that he used. Loading. Okay, here it is. Roboto said, "Family can be many things, Tila. The surrogate daughter you raise like your own. The surrogate son you build to be the best version of yourself." Which implies that Roboto is saying that she is a surrogate daughter, so not actually Duncan's daughter. And then in episode 5, it has Roboto call her sister, which kind of implies the same thing. But now, in episode 1 of part 2, it's looking like Tila is, in fact, Duncan's daughter. So, which is it? So that seems to be a problem to me. So, after that, we get Tila getting getting tribal marking from Sorceress, her mother, which is fine, and that is apparently going to give her be there to help her have powers later on, and I have no problem with that. Something interesting there, though, is that as I was rewatching part 1 this morning, when she basically stole the sword from Scareglow in Saturnia, and it looked like she just willed it. And that particular tattoo actually manifested itself on her forehead. So oh, so in fact, this was actually it showing her unconsciously using the sorcerer's powers, not just look at me, I'm awesome. So that particular thing is actually better as far as I'm concerned. So yay for that. Yeah. So now, we have the sorceress walking into the magic lake beneath Grayskull, basically, and that's how sorceress gets her powers, or at least some of them, because it looks like she actually had some magic powers before. So we've got that. Now, I need to drink a glass of water. Okay, so after that happens, we cut back into the main chamber of the of Castle Grayskull, where they're having their really big fight. So that's good, I suppose. And during this, we get to see them we get to see the good guys basically getting their asses handed to them by the bad guys. That's fine, because they're at their lowest. Oh, actually, to go along with that, one thing that I am not very happy about is that apparently during part 1, Evelyn's character arc, where she was actually finding that maybe she wasn't all that evil, that was actually legitimate, that she actually was on that character arc. And then the moment that Skeletor comes back, we find out that she actually just goes right back to him, which, sorry, that doesn't really scream to me of a powerful woman. It just doesn't. She just went right back to her abuser, and I guess that's part of whatever message they're trying to sell, but it wasn't a message I was particularly happy with. Ow. Shit. One sec. Ah, that sucks. Okay. So yeah. And Evelyn just suddenly goes from, hey, maybe I'm not evil, to, I'm evil and I'm back with Skeletor. It was nice knowing you. Fine, I guess. Kind of wipes out a lot of the character development that there seemed to be in part 1, though, so it kind of makes you wonder why they bothered. So there's that. So now we have Skelegod, who, with all of his powers, is not able to handle all of them. And you'd think that he'd be able to, because they make it clear that he actually is kind of all-powerful. So it's like, okay. And one thing that Skeletor does, Skelegod, is he's getting ready to kill He-Man and all of this. And, okay, that's fine. And then He-Man and then Adam goes, I've always wondered what would happen if I called down the power without the sword. And then he does that, and what happens is that Adam turns into what they call Savage He-Man and what I call He-Hulk. Because basically he turns into a mindless, rampaging terror that pretty much acts exactly like Hulk does. So, yay. Just so original. And just love seeing He-Man as a character that can't understand what's going on. That's great. So during this, the sorcerer then teleports them out of the castle, while using a spell that Teela hears, which then later on Teela uses the spell that she just heard sorcerers use to get them all out of there. Now, I know that people talk about stuff where stuff with other characters, like say Rey or whatnot, and say no, and they did it with no training. And I have to say, Teela suddenly gets these powers, and with no training, is able to use them. So that makes me go, what the hell? And hello, by the way, it's somebody new just started, just joined. Good to see you. I'm just rambling right now. Still kind of on episode 1/episode 2 of part 2. So let me see here. Hey, Struggler, how's it going? So if I remember correctly, you've actually watched this too, right? Because if you have, I want to ask your opinion on something. Okay. Yes, unfortunately. I get that. So. Oh. Yep. Happy Thanksgiving, Moon. And no problem. Have a good Thanksgiving. So, Struggler. In the first few minutes of the first episode of part 2, do you think that they were showing that Teela was actually Duncan's biological daughter or not? Because when I saw it, it looked very much to me like they were saying that Teela was Duncan's daughter.
Very well, then take notes.
And I was wondering if that was just me.
Farewell, Ashen.
Okay, so now something that I was saying that that I'm pretty sure you weren't here for was that I actually rewatched part 1 just this morning, all of it, and Roboto actually said early in like episode 3, I think it was, that family can be many things, Teela. The surrogate daughter you raise like your own. The surrogate son you build to be the best version of yourself. Which basically was implying that she was adopted. And so it seems like we've got a bit of an internal inconsistency here. Which I'm not saying is impossible by any means. But I just thought that was interesting. Also, the reason why I immediately picked up on the thing about her being the biological daughter was that I had introduced He-Man to a friend recently, and I showed him the original after he saw part 1 of this. And one of the things that he took away that he thought was so beautiful about it was the found family aspect, with Teela being adopted and all that. So, especially knowing how much that meant to him, that just kind of hit me. So, yeah. So yeah, what I was just talking about was the Savage He-Man, which, by the way, I call He-Hulk, because yeah, I don't. we have had 4 He-Man. We've had 4 versions of He-Man at this point. Only one of them was complete and utter dog shit. Congratulations, Kevin Smith, on being the one to make the version that's dog shit. Yeah, I see almost no difference, including the way that the way that we got him out of being He-Hulk was by having somebody he cared about hug him. So yeah. So yeah, after they get out and He-Hulk and Skelegod are having their fighting. Then Tila copies the spell that Sorceress used to get them out of there and teleports them to the Mystic Mountains. Yeah, you're not wrong. and then Tila, very first try, manages to cast a teleportation spell. Really? And so we're in the Mystic Mountains, and Tila's trying to calm him down, and says, "I've always been there for you. You've always been like a brother, even when your father was a dick," basically. And then suddenly that sets him off to go running towards where his dad was. And then we get a scene where he gets roped up by the Eternian army. And first of all, I don't buy that they could have actually held him. That was bullshit. And second, like you say, lucky as hell, well, we get to hear Roland talk about how bad of a father he actually was, and how he was so sorry, and it was almost touching, actually, until I remembered that King Roland was never a bad father until Kevin Smith got a hold of him. So then Roland is going, "No, let him go, stand down." Well, He-Hulk is actively trying to kill him, and then he hugs He-Hulk, and then whoomp, powers down. Like you say, ain't that lucky? So we've got that, and then we get to see how his father's so happy to have him back, and we get to see the tension between King Roland and his dad, and his mom. So, okay. One thing that and then we see Queen Marlena talk about returning, about how the fact that she'd known that he was He-Man beforehand, and had driven a wedge between her and Roland, and that she was just about considering going back to Earth. Which, by the way, I found interesting because, as far as I could tell, this is the first time in all of He-Man Revelation that this was ever mentioned. So, for someone who hadn't seen the original, that... yeah, I forgot to mention that part, but I'm actually not done with that yet. So Marlena was saying that she almost went back to Earth. And, okay, how confused would anybody be who didn't know Marlena actually wasn't Eternian? Okay. Now to hit part of what you're mentioning there, when I was rewatching it, I noticed, I noticed it at the time too, but Teela specifically said about how angry she was that Marlena had hidden it, even from King Roland. So she may actually be the spark that drove the divide between them, even more than Adam's death. Yeah, for the fans. I don't think that I don't think they understand what that means. So, yeah, Teela may actually have been the wedge that drove the king and queen apart. Great job, Teela. Your son died, and I'm mad. So, yeah.
You should have waited.
1 sec while I deal with this guy.
It's too late now. I, Sigurd of the Knights of Katarina, fight by your side.
So, boom. He's down. Okay. So, now where was I? Now, keep in mind, I've only watched part 2 the one time, so I don't really have notes on it or anything like that like I do for part 1. But now I was thinking about how... but after that, I was thinking about just how much they started putting on Tila. And Tila, it's all about Tila. Tila. Which, fine, I like Tila, but this Tila is like I'm just going to meditate and set. Yes. I have a whole set of notes for part 1, actually. I've got a set of notes in front of me that I have from just this morning's watch, and I've got other notes from watching it before. I don't typically take notes, but I'm intending to actually do some videos on this. So I've actually got notes with timestamps for some of it. So, let's hear. Oh yeah, we've got Tila sending out the word to get everyone to come, and then and oh god, I almost forgot. How could I forget? Skeletor and Evil Lyn. How could I forget? We get Skeletor getting all obsessed with needing to kill He-Man, and Evil Lyn is getting upset that that's all he cares about because she wants to get some of that skeleton, some of that skeleton boner, I guess. And because she's being ignored, or she decides that she needs to get the power for herself. Which, by the way, that's fine. That part's fine. But the way that she gets the power is that she tells Skeletor that she wants to that she wants to basically fuck him. But that he would kill her if he did it without powering down. So he powers down, they make out, and then she steals the Sword of Power and merges the power of her as sorceress with the power of the sword. After making out with Skeletor for all of us to see. Yeah, that was odd. To say the least. And then she goes on to show that she is even worse than Skeletor. She apparently uses her power to kill everyone in heaven. Everyone in heaven. And keep this in mind. Yeah. That's a point. I forgot to mention that part. But still, she goes full nihilist over that and decides to kill everyone else. Yay. But the way that she starts to go about it is that she decides to kill everyone in heaven in front of everyone else. Okay. Now, keep in mind that by the end of this, and this is a spoiler, we're supposed to believe that that she hugs it out with them and is and she's forgiven. I'm sorry, but you don't get to kill heaven and everyone in it, and just be let go and be forgiven. That doesn't work for me. Yeah. Oh, and also, yeah, she goes full nihilist, but she's also being put at the very spot where she could actually impose a new order, at least in theory. Yeah. But she could actually impose her own order instead of the chaos. Instead, she just wants to destroy it all. If she actually wanted order, she could have made order. She was in the right spot for that. Right spot, right time. But nope. Nope. She can't be smart either. Honestly, I'm not sure any characters in this were smart. So, yeah. So, we have her destroy Preternia in front of everybody. Well, I've seen some of the guys in the chat just thirsting over her character design, and I honestly don't get it. I mean, okay, I guess some people do find that character design attractive, but personally, I thought she looked butt ugly. I was not a fan of the animation. It is bad. It's still butt ugly. I get that you guys disagree with me, but yeah. I don't see it. So yeah, we have her who is an even more powerful god than Skeletor ever was, and we're and as I try to figure out how to deal with it with that, Skeletor walks in the door and says, "Okay, let's team up." So, yay, whoopee! Yeah, and now we have Adam and Skeletor talking about about what to do. And honestly, I think we're coming to the part where I had possibly my one and only chuckle in this entire thing. When Adam says, "Wait, I know what we should do," and Skeletor goes, "Oh, God, we're not going to go." Yes. And Skeletor goes, "Oh, we're not going to just go talk to her and ask her not to destroy the universe." Adam smiles, and Skeletor goes, "We are, aren't we?" And I think that was the one laugh that I legitimately had out of this entire thing. There were some laughs that I got, don't get me wrong, but not on things that I should have laughed about, if that makes sense. So yeah. And actually, as far as that goes, I was watching some commentary by Neon on it, and I don't remember a lot of the original. I'm still catching up on a lot of it. But apparently there actually is some overbeing that probably should have been coming down on his chair and going, "No, we're not going to allow this power stacking like you say." But so now that we have that, now that we got that chuckle out of the way, we actually go to Grayskull, and they do their talking. And during all of this, we have Tila and Andra, kind of. Well, yeah, it does make sense for Adam to do it. But we've got Tila and Andra infiltrating the bowels of Grayskull, and eventually, they get in there. They run into they run into Man at Arms. Man at Arms gives Tila a pep talk, saying that he did in fact hear her call to arms, which, okay, yay. Then Man at Arms fights off a bunch of stuff, and Tila goes into the magic water. And while in the magic water, she talks to her mother, the sorceress, and it's explained to her that to become the sorceress, you need to give up all attachments. Tila says, "Fuck this shit. I'm not going to give up all attachments because attachments are good." Which, great. But a lot of times when you need to protect something, this is kind of a standard trope. You do need to give up your attachments. So, okay, she decides to say no about that. And then she says, "We have the power." And then by being unwilling to do what needs to be done, yes. And by being unwilling to do what needs to be done, Tila actually becomes the bestest ever. She becomes the first sorceress who is not confined to Castle Grayskull. Which, yeah. So that's a great message there. Just say fuck it all, and you'll become the most powerful ever. And it's here. So while all this is happening, we've got Skeletor, He-Man, and Evelyn, yep, and Evelyn all talking and fighting and stuff like that up there. And then after all that, we get to see the Eternians and the Avians and everybody lined up outside, and Evelyn says, "One cycle I go deal with this invasion." Oh shit. Oh, I survived. that was close. So we get to have that. So we get to have that. And she goes, and then they say, "Well, what army are you going to have fight for you? Because you've alienated everyone by killing off Preternia." And her response to that, is that she raises the dead from Subternia. Now, when she does that Orko comes back as well, wearing white. Kind of made me think that Kevin Smith was thinking about Lord of the Rings and Gandalf the White and stuff. Very, very creative. Very creative. You might notice that I don't have a lot of respect for Kevin Smith. So, Orko actually is pretty badass. I liked seeing Orko. I liked seeing him kick ass. I still think that Orko was done very dirty. Yes. And Orko the Great was actually Orko the Great originally, before Kevin Smith ever laid his hands on him. Orko was a very powerful sorcerer in Trala. But in part 1, and he had to make it very clear that Orko was just a failure. in Trala, which has never ever made me okay. And at this point, I'm convinced that Kevin Smith specifically did that so that so that Orko was a failure while growing up, just like Evelyn was, so they'd be some sort of foil on each other. But also, the fact that Orko came back in this way states that Orko has been trapped in Subternia. And I had actually seen somebody ask I'd actually seen somebody ask Kevin Smith if Orko would be in, and actually somebody asked Kevin Smith why Orko wasn't in Preternia because he died a hero's death, and Kevin Smith stated that Orko would most likely be in Trala's Preternia because there's different Preternia for each world, which kind of makes sense. But that turned out to be yet another one of Kevin Smith's lies, because since Orko came back when the gates of Subternia were open, that means that Orko has been trapped in Subternia this entire time. So, is Kevin Smith unable to be honest? I think the answer to that question is pretty clear. I don't think that Kevin Smith is able to be honest at this point. Yeah, that would be the refrain from Kevin Smith. So yeah, we've got Orko and yay. Yep. So we've got this big battle going on, and with this big battle going on, Orko basically while fighting, he disarms Evelyn and gets the sword over to He-Man, and over to Adam, and then Adam turns himself into He-Man. Yes. Turns himself into He-Man, turns Cringer into Battle Cat, and stupidly turns Skeletor back into Skelegod. And then we have this big fight. I'm not going to go into detail on all of it, except to say that He-Man and Skeletor have very little to do with it. They're just fighting this on the ground stuff, and we see Teela and Evelyn go into the skies to duke it out, and the overall battle for the universe, that is done by between Evelyn and Teela with no interference or interaction from anyone else. And by the end of it, we basically have Teela and Evelyn hug it out. And then, and Evelyn is forgiven as if nothing ever happened. So that was insane. And now, during that fight, we get to see He-Man and at one point just plastered on the window of the Queen's jet plane, and saying, "Could you drop me off down there, Mom?" And she says, "Be home in time for supper," or something like that, which is so totally weird. Now, after all of this is over, we end up seeing Skeletor going back to Snake Mountain. And this is the one thing that I find interesting, like legitimately interesting / intriguing, of almost the entirety of Part 2. Yeah. I didn't mention Ram Man because you're right, it's out of nowhere and it had nothing to do with anything. So much nothing. So many things happened in that battle that didn't matter to anything. But so we've got Skeletor. We're going back to Snake Mountain where the cult of Motherboard is, and we've been thinking that Motherboard isn't the real thing, and we suddenly see that Motherboard is real, which I think is legitimately interesting. And if they had actually made He-Man Revelation about the fight between magic and technology, I think this could have been so much better. But instead they just wanked off and ignored almost everything that could have been good. So yeah, that's a lot of that. That's my rambling in rundown of part 2. Yeah. I haven't seen past season 1 of that new She-Ra. I've been meaning to try it, to be honest. I did actually like the first season. I just got bored while watching the second season for some reason. And at least that new She-Ra didn't claim that it was a sequel. But at least that didn't claim that it was a sequel. That actually admitted that it was a reimagining. This, and if you look at the Netflix description, it actually states that it's the sequel to the 80s cartoon. It doesn't say in spirit or anything like that. It literally says it's the sequel. Oh, actually, what other fuck you that I forgot to mention? During the first episode, I think it was, because we got to see Clamp Champ and fuck. It was Clamp Champ and somebody else. Two favorites of a lot of people. And Fisto. Clamp Champ and Fisto. And we got to see them for like 4 or 5 minutes. And then they got turned into the baddies. And then then they got killed. And okay, cool. Well, we know that they're in Preternia now. And then Skelegod just goes, nope. I've got their souls right here, and I'm sending them to Subternia. Yeah. So, yeah. I mean, I definitely know... Yes, I will fist him. I definitely know that there's stuff that I missed in that. This was a completely unscripted. It seat of my pants and explanation of part 2. And there's a lot of stuff that I missed. Yeah.
Welcome, Housekeeper.
Do you think I did? Do you think I did a decent rundown of part 2?
Very well, then take note.
Ah, thanks. I had actually meant to prepare a little bit more for the stream, and then remembered that it was Thanksgiving, so I made sure to call home and talk to my parents and stuff.
Farewell, Ashen.
So, were there any parts of He-Man Revelation that you thought were particularly funny, particularly bad, or anything like that?
Ah, well met, Ashen.
Yeah.
How may I be of service?
Mm.
Gracious, let I
Oh, actually, one thing that I noticed while I was while I was rewatching part one was that was that early on, Adam actually snarks at Tila, saying that when she's saying that she knows all the secrets, and Adam says I'm pretty sure you don't know who he is, and she says, who are you talking about? So this version of Adam does not look like he was actually all that upset. Oh yes, as in everything as in all of He-Man Revelation, yeah. But so Adam doesn't seem all that upset with withholding the secret from her, if he's actually making fun of her for not knowing who He-Man is. I mean, really? Hey, Soapy, you just missed me finishing up my explanation of part two. So yeah, I'm not sure exactly when I started just rambling. It was at least a half hour ago, and yeah. It came too late, didn't watch. Mm-hmm. Pretty much. One sec. I'm gonna be back in a moment. Ah, no problem. Strugglers, thanks for stopping by. He, and yep, I'll get you in chat too. Have a good Thanksgiving. Ah, yeah. I think somebody else told me that they didn't get a notification either, which is a little bit annoying. But feel free to watch this on the replay, and just know that I am intending to make some actual scripted videos on this. This was just I just watched this dumpster fire, and I need to vent stream. I don't get things like that myself typically. I typically either get a notification or I don't. Normally I don't worry about telling people to watch a replay, but oh, right. You're not on Twitter anymore, so you haven't seen me just giving my vague comments. Okay. The summary is that part one was a professional fuck you to He-Man. Part two is a pathetic fanfic which shows that Kevin Smith has mommy and daddy issues and abandonment issues. This show should be shown to a therapist, and Kevin Smith needs professional help. That is my summary of part 2. It was pathetic. There were parts in it where it was almost touching seeing King Randor or apologizing to his son for being a bad father. Yeah, you are. I mean, I'm not sure I've really seen much of what you've done, but I'm not. I think you probably are. And as I'm thinking that it was kind of touching seeing King Randor making up to his son, then I remembered that, wait, the only person who ever made whoever made Randor a bad father was Kevin Smith in the first place. King Randor was a good father before Kevin Smith ever touched him. So, yeah, if you have any specific questions... Oh, actually, I'll also spoil the ending. Teela becomes basically a goddess. And He-Man is a hanger-on. Which I thought was just amazing. Possibly. Honestly, I've never gotten into Dragon Ball or Dragon Ball Z enough to really comment, but most likely. Oh no, Teela is actually the legacy character. She was Man-at-Arm's adopted daughter, and best friend to Adam and He-Man. Well, growing up and stuff, but never knew that He-Man that Adam was He-Man. It's Andra that is the new character, and amusingly, Andra is actually pushed aside throughout almost all of part 2. There was so much of her in part 1, but in part 2. She was barely there, which was odd. But yeah, Teela's always been one of my favorite characters. So seeing them butcher her this badly really pissed me off. Yeah, yes, they did. Yeah. They did. I mean, I could have some comments to say about her, but in my entire summary, I don't think I mentioned her even once. If that gives you any idea. Well, I have a little bit of a theory right now. I've been wondering whereas I know that part 2 was in fact already in the can, so to speak. That I wonder if they might have made some emergency cuts or something during the time in between. Like they couldn't have actually fully changed things, but they might have gone, oh shit, and changed some things on the cutting room floor. And I wonder if that might be why some of this looked like bad fan fiction. Yep. Because like I said, I do know that all of Part 2 was already finished when Part 1 was aired. Because the thing was that it was never intended to be released in 2 parts. That was a decision made by Netflix. To my understanding, without Kevin Smith's input. Yeah. Right up the butt. Yeah. Yeah, that is something that ends up being pretty funny. Although to be fair, there, I don't think we've ever seen those guys actually fly. Those wings are more good for falling with style. But in general, I know and agree with what you're saying. Yeah, exactly.
Oh, hello. I'm Anne-Marie, the restorer. This is Horace, a friend. And you too in search. We're well along the road of sacrifices. Beyond the flooded woods lies Farron Keep, home of the undead legion.
Yeah, you. I don't know if you mentioned that about Dark Souls 3, but I'm not surprised.
We may go our separate ways now. The next time we cross paths, may the flame. Oh, he's not very talkative. But don't think ill of him. He's an upstanding, kind-hearted. Without his help, I would have cursed this owner's duty. We are well along the beyond. The next time we cross, may the
Some enemies not being balanced? You don't say. That never happens. Ah, shit. Mm-hmm. I can't believe I just knocked myself off the edge. You really like your mods. Mm-hmm. Oops. I know, I'm just giving you shit. And of course I need to go back now to get my souls back. What I need to get better at using is the weapon skills. Ah. It's something I'm trying to get better at. Mm-hmm. Like like one thing that I'm doing is that is that for my for the shield that I'm using, it lets me use the weapon skill even without having it double-handed. Because frankly, I never used the parry. Mm-mm. Yeah, I suck at the parry. Now, if I really want to try it, like that. What I actually just used the special weapon skill parry, and that's also why I don't tend to use it. Yeah. You need to have the right timing.
I am serious. Duties we each bear, I doubt we've much to gain from fraternization. Blessing of the moon upon you.
Okay. Well, I'll see you later. Yeah, definitely take a look. I think it's probably interesting.
Doubt we've much to get blessing. Welcome, Hubspeak.
I think I'm probably going to end the stream since this stream is specifically for talking about it. Oh, definitely. So yeah, I'll see you later. Thanks for stopping by.